I work for Gratimi. This is justice journalism project. We mainly cover in the peace life, I would say. We mainly cover the courts, the trials on the like different trials, corruption, war crimes or crimes related to the war, because we've got the war since 2014. I don't know, some and other crimes which could be like politicians that are being on trial. So yeah, but right now I'm covering mostly war, and at the moment, of course, well, there are war crimes happening, but right now we're rather focusing on reporting on what's going on the ground, because I think then it will be all useful to understand and know when the trials will start. So yes, right now I'm based in Kyiv, so and report mostly from here. The war started for Ukraine in 2014. We call it full-scale invasion of Russia, which I agree. It's not like it's my yeah. I was basically nobody. I, as many others, could not believe till the very end that the war would start. This, full-scale invasion would start, because I thought I didn't think it was possible, but it was probably the trap that we fell into 2014 as well, because we couldn't believe that Russia would take Crimea and start the offensive in Donbass. So this happened again, unfortunately, and there were warnings that it would start on the 24th of February, but I thought I would have a couple of days. I mean, and I thought it wouldn't be that such a war as it is right now. I thought, well, if it's like in 2014, probably we will manage, So I went on a train with my colleague photographer to go to Stanitsa Luhanska. It's because the day before I was calling there was a court working. I wanted to do a report from the court on the front line, because it was like Stanitsa Luganska is right on the front line with LPR, Luhansk People, so-called Luhansk People Republic, and a lot of people from living on the occupied territory, they would come to this court and to deal with different like questions like if somebody's died, it needs to be certified, or if somebody's born, there's needs to. So I wanted to talk about that, and this court has just opened. Not just, it was 1 year that it was working. Before that, it was bombed in 2014 and stopped working, and it started working again. So I just wanted to see what's going on there, and I thought I had a couple of days more. And we at 5 o'clock we were in Kupiansk. And the train stopped. It's Kharkiv region on the border with Lugansk region. The train stopped. People wasn't sure if the train is going further, because there were rockets fired in every in many Ukrainian cities. Rockets fired by Russia into many Ukrainian cities. It wasn't just one Kyiv. Then we just decided probably it's not the best time if people would be evacuating from Lugansk region and to take their place or whatever. So we decided to go back to Kyiv to understand what to do, and then to start the reporting. So we got off in Kupiansk, then we went to Kharkiv, where already there were fighting going on the outskirts, and we could hear the bangs, and we were just like, it was, and the city was empty. It was quite a shock to see, to be honest. Or people were queuing into the banking machines, if I'm correct to say, to withdraw the cash to the drug. Yeah, to withdraw the cash to the. There were queues in the drugstores to buy the medicine. immediately, like on the way, I saw it everywhere because we were taking bus to Kharkiv from Kupiansk, and we've seen already on the way some, the results of some bombings, like smoke going there. It was like I still couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing. To be honest, I know I've covered conflicts before. It's a nervous laughter, I guess.
I understand.
Yeah, I've covered conflicts before. I've been to Karabakh. I've been to Georgia. I mean, not in. I've been to Georgia not in 2008, but I've seen the aftermath. I've been to Transnistria, so I've covered those. And but still, I was like, "Is that really happening to my country?" So then we took. Then after a while, we've spent a day in Kharkiv. Then we took a train to Kyiv, and it was already an evacuation train, and it was free for everyone who wanted to go already, no matter have you've got tickets or you don't have tickets, you just get in. And it was not as many people as right now we can see on the railway stations. People were still thinking whether they stay, should they stay, should they go, where to go. But already, like, there were a lot of people with pets, like a friend of like my colleague, she's from Kharkiv, and we stayed with her, and she was also decided to evacuate to safer place in Western Ukraine, and she took a dog with her, a big one. So I mean, yeah, it was. Yeah, and then we got back to Kyiv. There was already like a curfew for the first time, but we still managed to get a taxi and get back home. And yeah, and at home it was like my partner and I, were both journalists basically. We decided just to close the windows like with the mattress, just in case. I don't know, to make it safer place for us, and that's it. I just couldn't sleep, fall asleep, but yeah, that's how it happened the first day. Because I'm a journalist, first of all, and I thought, well, I've been covering conflict, and I realized that, of course, this one has to be covered as well. I mean, as by me as a journalist, as a citizen as well. Because it's an illusion to say that I'm not a citizen. I'm totally objective, in this situation. Of course, I'm critical towards what the government does, what the army does. So, but also I understand that. But I've got the common, how do you call it, common aims with the country, because we don't want this war. We want to keep the Ukraine as it was, Oh, it's pretty simple, to be honest. Well, at the beginning it was difficult because the transport stopped working. I mean, not all of it, but it started to get difficult. So it was difficult to get from one place to another place in town already. And it's, of course, it interrupted the work, interfered my work. But I thought. But afterwards we found the car and the driver. So right now, since then we're mobile, and the day was like it looks like waking up, talking, having an editorial meeting, or going on an assignment from the early morning, then coming back, doing the story, then having some rest, having some food, or deciding which time we are going next morning, where we're going next morning, or and something like that. I do the mostly reportages right now, because it's difficult to do the analytics at the moment. Things are changing so fast, And I see that it's important just to document right now what's going on, to talk to people, to, to understand what they're going through, to understand what the city is going through, how, so I think this is the basic idea. If there is an evacuation convoy, I'm going and meeting this convoy to talk to people, because really I can't get inside the towns right now which are occupied. So I'm just meeting this convoy. If the building is hit with a rocket, I'm going to talk to people there and document, to see what's going on there, what it means to lose the house, to lose the flat, to to become a refugee, or going to hospital, or talking to territorial defense people, to mobilize men and women to the army. There's many contrasts, I would say. I see a lot of destructions from the bombing, and on one hand. On the other hand, I see how people are coping and how they are, holding on, how they are they are believing the army, that it would protect, how they are refusing to give up, and how they're ready to go and protect their land and the lives of their relatives, of the people. There is a lot of volunteering going around. It's like there was, in 2013-14, we had this revolution, in a pro-democracy revolution. And that at the very beginning, and still right now, it feels like Maidan, like everybody's helping everyone, supplies, information, everything, everything you need, you can get, basically. Yeah, and self-organization. So there are self-organized groups of local people in my area. There are people organizing themselves to help each other. But there is a lot of, on the contrary, there's a lot of that I can see the negative things. Like, for example, there is a the human tragedy, of course, happening. People losing their relatives, losing lives, losing homes. Also, this feeling, becoming to have this feeling of suspicion as well to even each other, unfortunately, because because of the war and everybody, because the Russia uses assault groups, if I can say, like, they try, like a small group of armed men, they're trying to get through to the city, or they use locals, for example, to gather information. So there were like several locals as well, like helping them. And right now, if you're going to the, I don't know, somewhere place in the residential area, and people like, are you really a journalist? They're even asking me sometimes like that. This is irritating. I think this is not the best way to treat the situation, but treat people in this situation. But on the other hand, it's totally understandable. So people are getting nervous, because it's, of course, everyone's scared. It would be strange if they weren't. Yeah, I'm scared too, like inside. But on the other hand, everybody is coping and trying to survive and fight back, and fight for the country and for the values, because Russia means not only like territorial, conflict. It's not a conflict for the territories, for Ukrainians and for myself and for Ukrainians. As I can see, this is the conflict for the values, for democracy, and this is totally clear for many people in Ukraine. The one I mentioned already, but it's the minor one, to be honest. It's absolutely minor one. You can handle that, because with, as long as police comes, you show and they check and they understand that everything's fine. The problem is that this war is unlike the war, unlike it was at the beginning in 2014, because at that time you could go to the occupied territories, you could go to the, you can go and talk to the people with arms. That time you could go and talk to, there were press conferences by these, by these fighters, pro-Russian fighters. So, and no, I think there was, if I'm not mistaken, it was one journalist killed at that period. But right now we've had already 6 journalists killed, including 2 foreign journalists, because of this indiscriminate, I mean, not even indiscriminate. I think Russians are targeting just civilians, and they even don't care if these are journalists or civilians or whoever. Basically, they're just targeting everyone, and it's not just with bullets, but also with they're bombing them on the way. So people died of the shrapnel wounds. Yeah, mostly. There are also abductions of the journalists. So and 7 people wounded, as far as I know already, 7 journalists wounded, and then a couple of journalists abducted already in the occupied territories. So it's it's the much harder version of Russia right now, because in Russia you don't really they don't really take care about journalists in their country. They're censored, they put censorship on them, or put them in jails, and on and on. And here they're just like, well, this is the war, we're bombing everybody. So this is the biggest danger. Basically, you have to really take care about where you're going. If this area is bombed, you need to know the safe routes. You need to know the way out. So it's a difficult experience, yes. And you need to have the protection, of course, because I have the vest, I have the helmet, I have the medical kit with me all the time. I hope we'll never use it. Yeah, and this is scary. We're just working, because my partner, as I said, he's a journalist. We're just working all the time, We are like, if we can, we're doing it together. If not, we're just, right now he's in one place, right? I'm in the other place. Just talking to parents all the time. They're in a safe place right now, but still complicated. I don't know. Trying to help if ever anyone needs I know needs help. So. I don't see the much censorship right now. Of course, as usual in the war, you can't. There are certain rules. You can't take pictures of the the positions, army positions. I mean, at least if you take, nobody could understand where you are, basically. But I think it's everywhere. This kind of rule is applied in every conflict. The blog posts also, you'd rather not take pictures of. Because we have, in town, we have a lot of blog posts right now, but some of them, they say, okay, it's not a problem. So as long as they let you do that. Some soldiers do not want to be taken pictures of, but some of them they can. So you just ask them if you do want to. But there were the law, actually, because we have a not emergency, martial art right now, and there is a law that you cannot publish information which is against the state, basically against Ukraine. For example, separatists, calling for separatism. Okay, these lands needs to be separated. You can't publish that. I mean, I think this is the only.
Okay.
But there were nobody came to any media which I know. I mean, the police hasn't come to any media that I know, and they haven't closed them yet, or they're not going to. I haven't seen like the signs that there would be. They would be, and at the beginning it was at the beginning when the fighting wasn't that heavy. There were even press tours to the front lines together with the foreign journalists, together with the government officials. So Ukraine is, as I understand, is trying to be as open as possible for journalists, so they could see and document what's going on in here. But on the other hand, like in occupied territories like LPR, DPR, Crimea, they wouldn't allow independent journalists in before 24th of February, even before that. Not even, of course, not now. As well. So there were only state Russian journalists inside. They were covering the situation there. And of course, Ukrainian journalists wouldn't be in. So, yeah. But for me right now, these rules that Ukraine implies seem reasonable. So I have no fears for censorship right now. Well, I haven't experienced that, but I know that journalists are like the websites are being DDoSed. Also, journalists being attacked personally on there. There are online. I mean, there are attempts to break the emails and so on. But of course, this is totally important because this is also the safety of information, safety of people. You know, where you are. Who you're talking to, so this is of course extremely important. So I know that media are trying to take the servers to the safer place, take the servers to ensure that everything is working properly, basically. And there was we have a foundation that helped journalists with the digital security issues, if they had any, or to ensure there won't be any. As I said, document what's going on around, to see and to feel and to focus on the important things. Try to find the focus because such a big house right now. At least find some, to convey what people, to show what people think about all that. I don't think ever objective reporting is possible because this is illusion, because you've always got the, your position influences you. But again, as I said, that doesn't mean you have to be uncritical towards events and actions, and not like criticizing, but critical thinking. Is this where is going to lead to this step? Where this decision is gonna, what will be the effects of this or that decision? Yeah, of course. And I mean, well, for me, it's perfectly clear. I think as for the rest of the world, I mean that the Russia is aggressor here, and no matter what their propaganda says. So that would, I mean, yeah,